Ahoy and welcome into another episode of Talking Ted presented by Bear Fight Whiskey. This week, My Two Dads, a very special episode in which Johnny and Ted experience the joy of parenthood as Susan and Blair stress the importance of early detection. My name is Mike Richards.
And I'm Jessica Lynn Verdi. This is a fun episode, and I don't know if this is an appropriate drink, but I'm having a hot toddy today. What are you having?
That is a lovely drink. In fact, I think I already experimented with that myself.
Yeah.
I went for a Manhattan today. I've got about 1.25 ounces of Bear Fight whiskey, 3/4 ounce of sweet vermouth, just a little bit of orange bitters, and I garnished it with an orange slice. And I am sucking on this straw like it's offering me a modeling contract.
Hey, listen, I don't know what I would do if I was offered the same opportunities. No, this is a very fun episode, and genuinely from the start of it, I just was glad we were getting some jerky boys too. I love it when my favorite contemporary comedians tell me about the past comedians they enjoy. Do you know what I mean?
I do, and the Jerky Boys were so, I guess, informative of the early 90s. I mean, things just got sort of a lot more irreverent. Kind of The Simpsons were hitting their stride, and things were just becoming just a little bit more offensive, maybe, to the older generation. And that was a ton of fun.
Can you do your recap in a Jerky Boys rendition?
I'm gonna answer the same way that Georgia answered in our previous show. She's like, I probably could, but I won't. Okay, well, without further ado, Mike in his normal voice will give us the recap for episode 2, My Two Dads. Johnny and Ted agree that the Jerky Boys are the world's greatest living comedy geniuses. By the way, the Jerky Boys was the working title of episode 3. Anywho, Ted and Johnny are off to the restroom, where Clive et al. Do the whole bully thing. This leads the boys to ask, WWTJBD, or what would the Jerky Boys do? Of course they would crank call Clive, tell him it's his dad, make him go to Friendly's in a sailor suit where Dad, quote unquote, stands him up. But it's okay because the waitress delivers a message which, for some reason, she reads verbatim. Feeling bad about how they treated Clive, they try to make it right by shoplifting a Sega Genesis. Naturally. Bonding with a mall cop / would-be actor. Been there. Assuming the duties of Clive's parents. Sure. Hiring said mall cop to play Clive's dad at a surprise birthday party, and finally getting busted by Clive, who sees the good that they did as they hug it out to the sweet, sweet sounds of the late, great Harry Chapin. Easy, Lenny. Don't kill the rabbit. Meanwhile, Susan and Blair convince Maddie to go get a colonoscopy, which forces him to confront some of the trauma he experienced in Vietnam. I almost forgot that was part of this episode. Great friggin' recap, Mike. Oh, thanks, Jess. Can we just ignore that part? I sometimes gloss over the B plot in these, but I think now that I wrote that recap, I do feel like a proper seaman. So there we go. There we go. Do you know where they put the wand when they're done with it? Oh God! Because Blair does. Oh God! Oh God! No! Oh God! But poor Blair, poor Blair. That is love, right? Is that not love? It was love. I mean, I think it was love that got her to the hospital. I think it was $300 that got her under the gurney. Again, what one wouldn't do for a modeling contract or $300 in 1993. I'm sure she didn't anticipate. I don't know. Would you do it? I guess let me ask you that. Would you do Slippery slope, right? Slippery slope.
Yes, that's it.
You agree to the first thing.
Yes.
Okay, I'll go to the hospital with you. Okay, we'll see if the doctor says it's okay if I go into the ER. He said no. And then it's like, okay, so what's the next step after that? You can back out, all of which up till now has been for naught, or you can continue on in a more or less ride or die fashion. It's like, what did she expect though? What did he expect when you got to stop me from saying things? It's been a la 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 la.
It's been about a month now since I watched this episode for the first time with my boyfriend, and up to just yesterday, he'll quote back to me, this is sexual for me. When the doctor admits to that in the operating room, which is just, it's the obvious joke, but it's such a good obvious joke. Do you know what I mean?
And it was so outlandish when Maddie said it to begin with. But then for it to come full circle and have the doctor then say that was just like, oh, they went there. They owned it. God love them.
So I know you have like some information about this episode, including where the title came from.
My Two Dads, first thing instantly struck me as that was that 80s sitcom starring the great Greg Evigan, who always had a little bit of traction getting a project going and having a 3-year vehicle to showcase his talent. Was fantastic. 87, 88, 89, with Paul Reiser of later Mad About You fame.
Yeah.
So they co-parented a tween girl, probably, maybe early teen, because I think mom may have met an untimely demise, and they were not sure who dad was. So
interesting.
The show had a lot of heart. It really did. And ran for several years, but that was where I just kind of caught the main game. The play, we like to play the name game.
Sure, you're very good about that
on the Roddenberry Podcast Network.
You're very good about that.
And other than that, we have Pippin, right? Now, have you ever have you played in Pippin? Did you play Pippin?
Pippin is one of those shows that has passed me by, thankfully. Like right before I got to my high school, they had done it. When I went to a new high school, it was next year. I don't know a single friggin' song from it. I've never had to be in it. And I either am sorely missing like a rite of passage in my theater background, or I'm a more sane person because of it. I have no idea what it's about either.
It just sort of the plot made me think of How I Met My Wife. I mean, I was a farmhand, and she was just no. I'm kidding.
No, it's okay. I'm following, and I'm a little gullible. So
yeah, no, we did not meet. She was a flight attendant. I was a pilot. It could not have been more typical, or just. But it worked out. 20 something years at this point. Let me think about it. 22 years. Probably around the time this episode drops. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's
congratulations. That's beautiful.
Thanks. Just keeps getting better and better. But Pippin, who, or the mall cop that played Pippin was played by Don Lake, who's been around forever as a character actor. If you want to see him in something more recent, Space Force, just to bring it a little sci-fi connection on Netflix, also starring Steve Carell, which is a parody of the latest, branch of the U.S. Armed Services.
It's a space farce, as I like to call it, actually.
Yeah.
Well, that's some pretty good information. Yeah, let's talk more about this after the break. Let's sip on our Bear Fight whiskey. Let's tell you how you can get a bottle of your own Bear Fight whiskey, and let's deep dive into this.
Sounds good. Cheers, Jess.
Cheers.
Hey, folks. We're here to talk to you about Bear Fight whiskey, how much we've been enjoying it, and how you can enjoy it yourselves.
I'm a whiskey drinker through and through, and I think I have found my new favorite go-to in Bear Fight whiskey. It's a little bit of scotch, it's a little bit of bourbon, it's a little bit of great, and we want to extend a discount to you so you can sip right along with us.
Bear Fight whiskey is an American single malt. It's one of the most awarded single malt whiskeys in the U.S. It's a simple recipe, it's a fantastic flavor, and it goes great with anything.
So head over to bearfightwhiskey.com, type in BF20 at checkout, and get yourself $20 off of shipping.
And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to the other half of Talking Ted, presented by Bear Fight Whiskey. We're still sipping on our sippables, and we're going to talk about My Two Dads, which I just have to say, from the get-go, the resolution of this whole episode, I genuinely find very charming. I couldn't have anticipated it ending with such a sweet note. So
it really did. Sort of the unintended consequences of trying what the Jerky Boys could do, right? What could possibly go wrong? But they found out that they care about this person, Clive, even though he's let's see, what do they call him? A steroid junkie with a pee fetish.
Yes.
Nothing against Clive, but I think I would question whether or not what he's eating is steroids. Just I'll throw that out there. And it kind of seemed like he was not the one with the pee fetish, based on Ted's convo.
Well, I think the Royd comment is that he's just angry. He's just so angry.
Mm-hmm.
And,
right,
he's a
Royd
big
rage.
Kid. Right.
Yeah.
He's a big kid, though. But, what they do pretty well, bullies suck, right? And you expect a bully to be in a high school movie, especially when you got a kid who's got a best friend out of a teddy bear.
Right.
You gotta have to have a bully. But they also kind of did a good job in showing us there might be a reason why this bully is the way
there's some background, there's some perspective. It's not all nature. There's some nurture there also. Clive's had it tough.
And we literally never deal with him being a dick for the rest of the season.
Oh, spoilers, but yeah.
Is that true? Is that spoilers?
I can't say. I was actually curious to remember because, watching them initially and then watching them again for this project, there's some things that I kind of conflate whether or not we see again later or not. I was wondering if they were going to take the episodic approach where reset button at the end and Clive's just as big a douche next week as he was this week, or if Clive actually does either disappear because there's no need, or if we see more of Clive but in more of a supporting role. I don't know. We're just gonna have to go on this journey together because I forget.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's put it this way: you're doing a better job at remembering this than me. So I think I just do like that. There are repercussions to their actions here, both negative and positive, and it's just fun to see them bicker as parents too. Once they realize when they get him to dress up in this Chips Ahoy outfit and go to what is it? Fridays? Not Fridays. They go to
Friendlies.
Friendlies.
So that is such an East Coast thing, I think. Right? As a Southern California, you have no idea, right?
This is out of my league.
Okay, so it is a slightly better than fast food, almost like a Denny's.
Is it like a Waffle House-esque?
No, way nicer than that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd say it's nicer
Shots
than Denny's.
Fired, Waffle House.
More. way nicer. It's but food, burgers, fries, stuff like that. But they really specialize in being an ice cream place.
Oh.
So yeah, ice cream sundaes. The Jim Dandy was my favorite. Big schooner mug with 5 scoops and several different sauces or syrups in there, or fruit or pineapple. So good. That was our place after the movies. Stop off at Friendly's. Get yourself a Jim Dandy.
How fun.
So good.
How
awesome.
fun is that?
Yeah, but
is that where you'd want to meet your father after not ever meeting him before?
As a kid, well, they're what, juniors in high school, so I think that's probably, depending on what the town is like, they might be kind of limited to, kid friendly. I mean, let's face it, if it was Bayside High, they'd be going to the Max. So
yes, that is a good pull. But I wonder if it adds insult to injury that they're at the Friendlies.
When we've talked before, when we had Seth on the show a couple of weeks ago about being an equal opportunity offender.
Yeah.
Right. And he offended. I was offended with a reference in Family Guy to SUNY something, because I'm a graduate of the State University of New York at Farmingdale. And pridefully so, whatever. Had a good experience there, but it was still funny, right? And I laughed. Friendly's, where we went all the time, the waitress answered the phone and said, "Can I help you?" And the guy said, "Yeah, I've got a message for somebody. He looks like an idiot dressed in a dumb costume." She was like, "It's Friendly's. Can you be more specific?" And I was like, "Oh, ouch, dang." Mean. Those are my people.
But they got him. They got you.
Yeah. Yep. Worked.
To be fair, so many people take shots at improv, and I think Seth has taken more than anybody else, or at least his works and his writers take shots at improv like nobody's business. So I've been offended too.
Oh, I bet. I like the way when Ted and Johnny decided they were going to try to make things right and talk to Clive again after they stood him up at Friendly's. And they went up to the room and armed with the phone and the handkerchief.
They think they were
T-shirt,
whatever. I hope it. I don't even want to.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever it was.
You don't want to think about errant cloth around that boy's room. I don't want to think about it, Mike.
Yeah, it looked like it was. It looked like it was still flexible, so not too bad.
How else do you get the crackly sound on the other side?
But to compose himself, Ted does what many of us do before you have to compose yourself, which is take a deep breath. Right? He's like, I just need to compose myself. So he took a deep breath. He just did it through some bong water. That's all. just like anybody else.
He hit it with his diaphragm though, so he's doing proper technique.
He did, man. He did it good. And I loved the I'm a soldier of fortune in the LA Underground. Are you familiar with the A-Team?
No, not at all. I think I could only pull it out visually. I couldn't tell you the sound. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Mr. T. I remember Mr. T. I think in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, he eats Mr. T cereal, and that always made me want to eat it.
Right. So Mr. T riding the fame of Rocky III, is cast in the A-Team. George Papard, like legit, like
is that
Hollywood A-lister.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Also in Baba Black Sheep, later Black Sheep Squadron, played the Blue Max, which was one of the most decorated World War I pilots of all time, playing in the series, as well as Dwight Clark. Is that who played Ensign Barclay in Star Trek Next Gen.
Oh.
So he was in there. But yeah, good cast of character. And Dirk Benedict from Battlestar Galactica. Like, these were the folks. And this is all you need to know, is that in 1972, a crack commando unit was sent to prison by a military court for a crime they did not commit. They did not commit this. But these men promptly escaped from a maximum security stockade to the Los Angeles Underground today. And by today, I mean 1980-something.
Yes.
Still wanted by the government, they survive as soldiers of fortune. And if you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team.
Soldiers of... That is good to know. It's good information. Thank you.
That's all you need to know, man. So if anybody wasn't familiar with the A-Team, boom, there you have it.
So wait, what does Soldiers of Fortune mean?
That's like mercenaries. So people will pay you to do a job.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Usually involving soldiering, which often involves, some
blowing their van up.
Yeah, demolitions, maybe some armed intervention. That kind of thing. Yeah.
I got it now. You know what? I think you succinctly explained it. Thank you.
Oh, sure. I succinctly by just reading the intro to the show.
Oh, no, you didn't have to tell me that. I have no idea what you're talking about.
My friend Captain Patel, who I cite on our other show pretty often, a number of years ago, asked me if I was familiar with the A-Team. And I said, yeah, I never really watched it. So he just verbatim read that to me. And he was like, that's all you need to know. Now you're all caught up. Go watch some episodes. Let me know what you think.
Perfect. Yeah, I feel like it is one of those things just like to understand the zeitgeist of it, right? Like you got to see an episode. I'm sure dudes, like kids loved that show, I'm sure. I feel like my dad loved it. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I would never, interesting choice, I guess, but I don't know that I ever took Flintstones chewables, but I would think that, I would probably only eat the Bettys.
See, I think it's weird that you have an opinion on that.
Well, the reason I formed this opinion was because in like trivia and goofs about this episode, there were Betty Rubble Flintstone chewables, but not until like 1996.
Weird.
So yeah, so it's actually a goof.
Oh, I also was just making a joke about John having an opinion
about who you eat, about having an
opinion on who you See, I think it's weird that you would have an opinion on that.
Yeah, that is weird.
I do think we ate the Flintstones chewables. They do taste great. I think the purple ones were the best ones, but those were the problem ones.
Those were probably Dino the dinosaur.
They had to be Dino. I think the orange were like Tic Tacs. Listen. It was sugar. It was pure sugar and vitamin C. It might as well be, a Starburst or a Skittle.
That's true. Is that really all that was in those?
I can't imagine it's much more than that.
It's probably just like
because like vitamin C is like what makes a sour Skittle sour. So you basically got like the makings for a candy right there. So.
Yeah, you sure do. A little nod, I think, in my mind, to Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country, when. Ted got bullied by some other kid, and he said, "Nature abhors a vacuum." That was a line between Mr. Spock, then Captain Spock, and Lieutenant Valaris, when he was trying to encourage her to succeed him in his role on the Enterprise.
Yeah, I actually do. It's one of my favorite quotes in general. So I was that moment tickled me.
Yeah. And again, I point to, because I'm like, it's a Star Trek line. That's probably a line that has been in everything, right?
I think it's a philosophy.
Yeah.
But I think, and leave it to Star Trek to leave no philosophy unturned or unexplored, boldly going where many philosophers have gone before. But I think that it would be fair to, you're pretty good at pointing out the direct, listen, we're dealing with a bunch of Star Trek guys on the writer's room anyway. And, basically, I can't imagine it wouldn't fill that void.
That's why it's so good. You worked in, I think, in the service industry for a while.
Did, yes.
I worked in the service industry for a while. Waiter, bartender, as we talked about.
Yeah.
With my Manhattan Graphite whiskey. And I have never, in the service industry, dealt with those tins, right? Those tins filled with hamburger water and all the hamburgers sitting in the water. You've seen that in high school cafeterias, maybe at a cookout, things like that? Any thoughts on why? Why are they just sitting in water? Seems like a normal thing to do.
Remind me what part this happens. At the picnic, right?
It was either the picnic, I thought it was maybe the high school cafeteria.
Oh, at the cafeteria. So my guess is it's because it's defrosting.
Because I just went to a car show a couple of weeks ago, and it was a fantastic event. It was at a car dealership, and they roll the red carpet out for you, because in addition to, charging people, a little bit of money to register for the show and selling other raffle things and stuff like that, it was kind of a nice event. They raised about $3,000 for leukemia research.
Beautiful.
Which was fantastic. And they had they were cooking burgers, hot dogs, bottles of water were out, bottles of soda, things like that. But when dude would bring in the tray of burgers from the outside to the inside and put them on the table at the end of the buffet line, right into a tin of water. I think it was to keep them warm.
What maybe? The actual AF?
Yeah. If any of our listeners know why that happens at these sort of outdoor American Legion-y kind of events.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Put it in the comments, man.
Yeah, I'd love to know, because my only guess is like Bunsen burners, but you're supposed to put I wonder if you accidentally end up cooking the burger if you just put it on an empty tray. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, they're cooked. They come in, they go in the water, and I think there might have been a little chafing dish. What do you call those?
Yeah.
This is the universal sign
Bunsen
for
burner.
Yeah, it's not a Bunsen burner, but it's that little wax thing that lights the thing up.
I think I've called them Bunsen burners in the wild, and I think he's my favorite Muppet. By the way, I really do.
Okay, I was home alone about a month ago when I realized that all of the Muppet shows were on Disney Plus, and we're not advertising for them, but feel free to send us some money, Disney Plus. Never in my life did I wish that I was already retired as I was at that moment.
That you could we could make a whole podcast out of just rewatching them. They're
please.
So excellent.
Please, John Champion, get that greenlit, please.
I actually just showed Alex Muppets Take Manhattan, and he had never seen it before. And he's like, aside from all the cameos, I thought it was charming because the cameos are a little outdated.
And then the modern ones, more modern ones anyway. With Jason Segel are so good. Right. He was just such a joy to meet when I had a chance to chat with him at a Christmas party we both attended last year.
Oh,
it was so,
that's right.
Yeah, such a gentleman. Just such a Marshall Erickson.
It's one of those things. I don't know what that means, but it's one of those things. If you don't meet Jason Segel in LA, you haven't been to LA. He haunts all the bars on Laurel Canyon, so you hit each one, eventually you'll meet him.
Oh my gosh, I thought that was such a big deal.
No, it's excellent. I'm just saying he's out there, man. He's doing it. He's living.
Fun fact, normally this kind of thing goes more at the top of the show under trivia and background information, but according to vetster.com, prolonged erections in dogs can potentially prevent the passage of urine, which is a medical emergency.
Thanks, Mike. Anything else you want to talk about?
Anything else I want you to edit out of the show?
No, that was I just reacted that way for comedic effect. It's so fantastic. It's such a funny.
It sounded like a bark, only happier.
And the running bit of "Thank you for your service, stand down, soldier. Your job is done."
Oh God, a lot of delivery of the line when he said the dog. The dog had an erection. And she looks at him and goes, "You were very good looking back then."
Very handsome.
God, I almost lost it at that point.
I'm glad that was a factor for the dog. Jesus. I guess it was consensual. I can't anymore with this. We're moving on. I do love just such great references. Like you mentioned, Lenny, don't kill the rabbit. I actually call it, I don't know if you've experienced this, but I want to do it to my cats where I want to just squeeze them and bite their face. and almost kill them, not totally, but almost.
Yeah. No. I hug on my dogs all the time, and I will hug you and kiss you and call you George.
I do think that we shouldn't be talking about our pets directly after what we just talked about. But my point is often I refer to myself as having the Lenny syndrome, where it's just like so it's very funny that they do that. And then of course, perfect. You can almost call it a mile away. They're going to play The Cat's in the Cradle, and it's perfect that they did because you need to. It's so good.
Yep. So good. And the conversation before that, and you know what, I think it was a good conversation to have after talking about the dog, because we, as a professional podcaster, Jessica, you need to find those segues, right? And find that segue you did.
Thank you. Not everyone could do the job, but I served my podcast.
Stand down, soldier. And I just, there was something about this, and things that are, I've been going through lately. But what is a dad when Ted said that? And someone who believes in you, who roots for you, and wants you to do your best, who's proud of you when you work hard and you win. Just one of those little things that lets you know at the end of the show that. These guys, this kind of, washed up, jaded teddy bear, former child star, and his best friend / protege, their hearts are in the right places.
I think that's exactly right. That's what I mean when I said, when we were talking about this at the top, like, it changed my perspective on, a lot of people think that you have to have the nuclear family, a 2.5 kids, white picket fence, a mom and a dad. Most of us didn't have that. Right. And many of us had multiple participants in the rearing of us, or just one. And we're all doing pretty okay. There's obviously people who are suffering and, they wish their dad was there. They wish the mom didn't leave, all these things. But my aunt was involved in being like a figure. Both of my uncles were. There's no one right way to raise a kid. A lot of people talk about like this biological thing. Sure, it'd be great if that always worked out. Life doesn't work that way. But let me just put it this way. recently, what I've been going through in my life, I have a few people that are like, come on, Jessica, figure it out, figure it out. And those are people who are not blood related to me, and they take a vested interest in my well-being because they know I will too, right? They say you get the friends you deserve. I just have to take a moment to step back and go, wow, I'm so blessed with people who care for me that much to be that loving to me. So Clive gets 2 loving peers and dads out of this episode, just like you said.
It does, and it's just such a great layered approach to to this show as well as others. So you look at that, you kind of like to bring the Star Trek philosophy into it. It's like your enemy isn't this mustache twirling villain, right? Your enemy they're probably the hero of their own story. They have their own issues. They have their own background, their story, and you can find and you can reach some common ground if you talk. And that's what happened with this. And then those roles of parent, father, mother, sibling, those roles get filled if you're willing to let people into your life to fill those roles and have a positive impact on you. But if you put up a wall around yourself and don't let people close to you, it's really hard for that to happen.
This reminds me of when we interviewed Jay Lee, and he said that some guy wanted to fight him at this, club. I actually think about this all the time. He didn't meet that guy where that guy was who was trying to fight him. The guy was like, "What's up?" And Jay Lee was like, "Nothing. What's up?"
What's up?
Exactly. like totally like, "Hey man, nice to meet you." And Clive comes over all pissed when he finds out it's them, and they've been pulling this quote unquote prank on him. And because John and Ted had softened towards Clive and empathized with their quote-unquote enemy, they didn't meet Clive in this normal relationship that they've had before, which is antagonistic, bullied. They instead met him really compassionately. And so that's another way to put a sheen on this episode is they found empathy for this guy. Just like you said, it's a beautiful, let's look at us having morals, messages, and meanings about a sitcom. This is pretty darn good. Well, anything else you want to share with our friends? How was your drink? Did it hold up well?
Oh, this drink is holding up fantastically well. Again, this is about the 3rd or 4th or 5th or 10th recipe I've tried with Bear Fight whiskey, and just everything I seem to do with it just opens up the flavor more. And I do enjoy whiskey. I enjoy bourbons. And this was just a Manhattan, a little bit of sweet vermouth, just a couple of drops of, I used orange bitters because I do tend to like the citrus flavors, and highly recommend.
I love that. Yeah, you really are getting out there and adventurous, and I'm keeping it. The hot toddy is about as adventurous as I'm going to get. Well, anyway, Mike, thank you for your wonderful recap, your funny, helpful East Coast insights into friendlies, and also explaining A-Team. I learned a lot today.
Same here, man. Great conversation. Look forward to chatting with you next week.
Yep. Next week, we're going to be talking about Ted episode 3, Ejectile Dysfunction. I'll see you there if you can get the tape to play, Mike.
I can't wait. Thanks, Jess. Cheers.
Cheers.
Ted is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment, executive producer Rod Roddenberry and John Champion. Our website and your opportunity to comment and connect with us is podcasts.roddenberry.com.